I have been inside and outside Charismatic and Pentecostal Christianity since 1971. I've sat in dozens of meetings, churches, studied and taught in Pentecostal universities, taught Bible in a charismatic college. I've been present at tent revivals, giving every penny I had to a man who convinced me that $15 that I had in my pocket belonged to God and would gain the approval of the God I wanted to please so much. I was also convinced that the emotional excess I saw in those people around me should be copied and break my fleshly pride. I watched legs grow, not by trickery, not by adjusting or pulling shoe heels, but by the hip adjusting. But back then, because I was told it was the legs growing, that's what I saw. I heard hundreds of testimonies, believed the teachings of faith healing, naming and claiming. I've experienced the feelings of being delivered and what it was like to have a prophetess tell me in a day where prophecy was rare. She told me I would be a prophet to the nations. I wholeheartedly believed it, and it became a very big part of my identity for quite a while. From the outside, I've studied hundreds of YouTube videos, read dozens of books, for and against, listened to testimonies, honest ones, and ones clearly manufactured or exaggerated. And recently, I've been looking closely at my own experiences of healing, my own experiences of miracles, and the feelings and experiences I encountered myself. In all of this, something has been surfacing. I call it the unexplored realm. Before Europe began exploring the New World, the Americas were filled with legends, myths of abundance, immortality, paradise. Imaginations ruled. The land remained unseen because the imaginations were more than sufficient. These legends satisfied every seeker of truth. The unexplored realm works exactly like that. It is filled with imaginations coming from every direction, and the real territory, the actual phenomena, remains largely invisible, buried under the weight of these competing stories. For the unexplored realm I'm about to talk about, the stories fall into three categories. There is an outpouring of genuine miracles today, some believe, many believe. God is intervening directly. Another group says the miracles and healings are simple trickery, stage magic, manipulation. And finally, another group, Satan is manifesting these experiences, deception from below. Three answers, and all three are mostly wrong. They're not mostly wrong because the phenomena aren't real. People genuinely do feel relief. I did. Bodies genuinely adjust. Mine did. Pain vanishes. Fear lifts. I've gone through this. These experiences are real. And there's often trickery, yes. Human manipulation involved, absolutely. But not always. There are many genuinely believing Christians who practice these things and experience them. I was a true believer. But the answers are wrong because they let us stop looking for the truth. They let us close the investigation before we've actually discovered what's occurring. They're the intellectual equivalent of closing the door before we understand what we are really seeing. The reality is different. It is infinitely more complex than miracle trickery or demons. It lives in a realm that most of us have never even mapped. And even the map makers, the psychologists, neuroscientists, theologians, historians, they see only in part. The neuroscientists sees the brain beautifully, but not the social architecture. The sociologist maps the crowd effectively, but misses the individual body's response. The theologian understands Scripture, but may not grasp the mechanisms of suggestion. Each sees certain corners of the territory better than others, but no single discipline lights up the whole map. When I began this exploration, I was not trying to defend my experience in Pentecostal and Charismatic Christianity or to trash it. I was trying to understand it. And understanding requires many directions at once. Like explorers mapping new territory, we need multiple tools. It helps us, yes, to go inside, to feel what believers feel, to experience the power of ritual and the community of expectation. But we also need to go outside, to step back and look objectively at the territory, to see what's really occurring in the body, in the mind, in the space between them. These are some of the tools that I'm going to give for exploring this territory. And it's good to understand that one tool does not say it all. They almost always work with other tools. Psychology gives us understanding of cognitive bias, suggestion, and conformity. How easily we see what we expect to see. How powerfully we move together. Neuroscience shows us how expectation physically alters pain perception. How the brain's chemistry responds to belief. How trance and disassociation work at a level of neurons. Medical science explains regression to the mean, natural symptom fluctuation, and why placebo produces real symptom relief without a cure. Sociology reveals crowd psychology, peer pressure, and how ritual reinforces belief within a community. Anthropology shows us that these patterns change from one country to another country. Inside Pentecostalism and outside, these patterns aren't unique to charismatic Christianity. Trance, possession, healing rituals, they appear across religious traditions worldwide and across centuries. We're looking at something human, not something exclusively Christian. Stage magic and mentalism teach us techniques, cold reading, misdirection, suggestion that charismatic healers use, sometimes deliberately, sometimes completely not knowing what they're doing. Communication studies explain how testimony is curated, edited, repeated, and held to be true. Church history gives us precedent. The patterns we see today appeared at Azusa Street, at the Toronto Blessing, in John Wesley's revival meetings, and the first and second great awakenings in America 200 and 300 years ago, where believers fell into trances, and I would say even non-Christians, convulsed, crying out, manifested what observers called wild and uncontrollable responses. At every major revival movement, they evolve, but they recur. Ethics demands that we ask the hard questions. Who has the power here? What is being demanded of vulnerable people? What is being taken from them? What is being given in return? Just promises or any reality? Biblical studies and theology force us to examine, how do these communities interpret Scripture? What do their teachings use or misuse within the Bible? How does that compare with what we see today? How does the Bible compare to what we see today? You don't need an expert in all these fields to see clearly, but you do need to be willing to look through these lenses and more. And when you do, something remarkable surfaces. The confusion clears, not because you found a simple answer, you haven't, but because you're finally looking at the actual territory instead of choosing between three easy answers. You see something that is neither miraculous, nor fraudulent, nor demonic, something real, something human, something that can be used for good, but also for evil. Something worth understanding. This doesn't mean miracles don't exist. It means we need to learn the difference between a real miracle and the vast territory of forgery. Between what is genuinely from God and what is convincingly crafted from something else, whether deliberately or in perfect sincerity. You know, Jesus talked about the judgment day. He mentioned many who practiced miracles in his name, many who did amazing things for him, witnessed by others, that these people were rejected by God. How can someone who genuinely believes in Jesus, who believes they see and experience the power of God, be rejected when it counts? I think exploring this realm helps us understand a big part of the answer to that question, and perhaps helps us avoid the mistake ourselves. This is Ted. Please like and subscribe. I will be going through these in the future.